everyone, Jen here with Next Wave Business Coaching. When you think about 2020 and small businesses, what buzzwords come to mind? You know, words like growth hack, value added, they were kind of being thrown around a lot. But one that really came up a lot was pivot and adapt. Frankly, I think we got kind of sick of hearing the word pivot. And when I hear the word pivot, I can't help but go back to a Friends episode where Ross, Rachel, and Chandler are carrying that large couch up a flight of stairs, and all you can hear Ross yelling is, "Pivot, pivot, pivot." And we crack up, right? Well, I have to tell you, March of 2020, when everything started shutting down because of the pandemic, I have this visual of our businesses across the country yelling, "Pivot!" And it was kind of when panic set in. And I don't blame them. We were faced with a pandemic and something we had never, been through before, right? As a group of small businesses. So what does it really mean to pivot your business? The word pivot, when you look at the definition of it, it means to rotate, change directions. You can also say adapt, which is to adjust or modify. And as a business owner, when does it make sense and when do you incorporate that as part of your strategy? In 2020, we saw a lot of businesses that had to, right? We saw the fitness industry, for the first time ever, for many of them, had to add virtual classes. They had never done that before. We saw the grocery stores adding curbside pickup and adding delivery service. How about the restaurants? They had to incorporate curbside pickup and also take and bake meals, right? Your brick and mortars, if they didn't have an e-commerce, boy, you better get one. You better quickly add e-commerce to your brick and mortar business, right? And how about the cleaning businesses? They had to add a sanitizing section, right? Well, I actually pivoted back in 2008, before pivot was a 2020 buzzword. So let me take you back to 2008. I owned a brick and mortar retail bakery. I had it for 10 years when 2008 happened. In 2008, our country went through a recession. And a lot of my business was corporate business. It was a cookie gifting company, and we did a lot of corporate business. So I was sitting here faced with employees and a full bakery and my business declining quickly. Kind of like what our businesses in 2020 experienced at first. Well, what was happening in the country was this trend of cupcakes. The Food Network was launching a TV show called Cupcake Wars. Cupcakes were becoming kind of the new trend and buzz for weddings. People liked the individual flavors and being able to have those individual desserts. So I pivoted my business in 2008 by adding a cupcake line. Now, I didn't abandon my core cookie business. I just added something to go with it, right? And I can honestly tell you that 2008 was the best thing that ever happened to my business. My business quadrupled for the next 10 years to come before I sold it. If I hadn't added the cupcakes, I don't know what would have happened with my business. So would I have done that without a recession kind of pushing me into that? I don't know. And so it makes me ask the question, how come as business owners, we don't pivot or adapt until we're forced to? Until there's a pandemic or a recession? Are we just comfortable? We don't feel like we need to? One of the things that I take my clients through, and one of the principles that I adopted after going through 2008, was every year I would sit down and analyze my business and look for opportunities to pivot or adapt. I'm not suggesting that we pivot every time something comes along, because I know we can get very squirrel-like in every idea we want to add. But adding it as part of your yearly plan, I think, is a really good idea. So here's what I would do, and here's what I take my clients through. The first step is we run a yearly analysis. We're going to look for products and services that are doing really well in your business. We're going to look for items that are profitable. Just because something's selling doesn't mean it's always profitable, so make sure you're looking at profit as well. And we're going to talk about and think about what could we add to that we're not currently offering, but could be a good fit for what we're doing. We're then going to look at the trends. Just like I looked at the cupcake trends that were happening out on the West Coast, we're going to look globally. A lot of the baking trends came from Europe. What's going on in the country or in the world that might make sense for your industry? And then we're going to ask our customers. I'm always amazed by all the businesses that have my email address, how they never ask me for any feedback. Why not? That's valuable feedback. And talk about creating a loyal customer. People love to give their opinion. A lot of times we would come up with our new flavors based on a customer survey. So utilize your customers. So then we pull all this data together, we look at it, and then we make a decision based on numbers, not based on just impulse. And look at what would make sense to add to our portfolio of products or services that could grow and enhance my business. Are you sitting on a cupcake of 2008? What are you waiting for? Why do we wait for these tragic times to all of a sudden get creative with our business? I really feel strongly about this, and it's part of my 6 pillars to build a better business is running an analysis and looking at the strengths and weaknesses and the opportunities and the threats that are happening in your business. And a lot of times we do that when we first start or part of our business plan, but we don't incorporate it as part of our yearly maintenance. So I encourage you to add this as part of your yearly maintenance. And if you could need some extra help, because a lot of times you need some ideas outside of your 4 walls, reach out to me. That's what I'm here for. And I'm here to help you build a better business. So if you're looking for a business that's going to be resilient and competitive and keep growing, I challenge you to incorporate this strategy of pivoting into your yearly plan. So if I can be of assistance, reach out to me. I'd love to have a discussion about how you can pivot to add profits to your business.